The tomb contains strange and unsettling artifacts that challenge everything we thought we knew about one of history's most feared and powerful leaders. Genghis Khan and his family were notorious for their brutality, responsible for the deaths of nearly 10% of the world's population during his lifetime. Their conquests were so devastating that they left a measurable impact on Earth's carbon footprint. An archaeological discovery so astonishing, it could forever reshape our understanding of not only the man himself, but the very history we thought we knew. Scientists believe they have uncovered the long-lost tomb of Genghis Khan, a revelation that could answer questions that have haunted generations and ignite entirely new ones. Inside this ancient tomb lie objects that are as mysterious as they are chilling, offering clues not only about Khan's life and death, but about a time of unimaginable brutality and ambition. Genghis Khan and his family were infamous for the sheer scale of destruction they wrought across continents. His conquests claimed the lives of nearly 10% of the Earth's population during his time. It is said that the scale of death was so vast that it even left a noticeable impact on the planet's carbon emissions. But more than just a tale of conquest and terror, the tomb may reveal hidden truths about the spiritual beliefs, fears, and secrets of one of the most feared leaders in human history. For decades, stories have swirled about the legendary measures taken to conceal the tomb. Some accounts claim that Genghis Khan, in an effort to ensure his eternal peace, ordered that his tomb be hidden so thoroughly that even those who built it would never speak of its location, because they would be put to death. According to some legends, entire forests were trampled by horses to erase the trace of any path leading to the burial site, and rivers were deliberately redirected to flow over the tomb, hiding it beneath nature itself. Whether these were stories meant to elevate Khan's myth or accounts based on truth, they only deepened the fascination and mystery surrounding his final resting place. The question has always remained, where is Genghis Khan buried, and why has it remained hidden for so long? While some scholars dismiss the darker legends as romanticized folklore, others argue that the secrecy was likely driven by the very real fear of looting, desecration, and revenge. After all, Khan had made countless enemies during his reign. His scorched earth tactics, the annihilation of entire cities, and the terror he used as a psychological weapon had built a reputation so terrifying that many sought to destroy even his memory. For those vanquished by his armies, desecrating his tomb would have been the ultimate act of revenge, a symbolic destruction of his power and legacy. Historians acknowledge that secrecy around burial sites was not uncommon in Mongol culture. It was a way of protecting the dead from spiritual disruption and physical disturbance. It was believed that the spirits of great leaders should rest undisturbed, and exposing their graves could unleash curses or misfortune. In Mongolia, Genghis Khan is more than a historical figure. He is a cultural icon, a national hero, and even a semi-sacred being in some interpretations. To disturb his tomb is to defy deep-seated cultural values, to poke at something sacred and forbidden. This cultural reverence has presented a profound dilemma for modern archaeologists. How does one balance the pursuit of knowledge with a duty to respect cultural taboos? The potential discovery of his tomb isn't just a matter of digging up artifacts. It's a matter of opening a gateway to Mongolia's spiritual heart. Many Mongolians fear that uncovering the tomb could lead to widespread calamity, natural disasters, political upheaval, or national disgrace. This fear is not just superstition to them. It is an ingrained cultural warning passed down through generations. So for centuries, this belief created a powerful cultural blockade, discouraging exploration and transforming Genghis Khan's tomb into a symbol of sacred mystery. Despite these barriers, the allure of solving the riddle proved irresistible. Over the years, historians, adventurers, and archaeologists undertook daring quests to find the tomb, using everything from ancient maps to local legends. Satellite technology, aerial surveys, and ground-penetrating radar were deployed in the hopes of unlocking the past. Even the behavior of animals was studied in case it offered clues to something buried deep beneath the surface. These investigations, while often unsuccessful, painted a clearer picture of where the tomb might lie. But the secrecy and superstition surrounding the site always loomed large. At the center of many legends was a remote mountain called Burkhan Kaldon, a place revered in Mongolian tradition and mentioned in ancient texts. This sacred peak, nestled in the northeastern regions of the country, has long been considered a spiritual guardian of the Mongol nation. Local lore held that this mountain might conceal the tomb, but fear and respect for Genghis memory made any real exploration feel almost sacrilegious. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, came a discovery that stunned the world. A team of 4 archaeologists, initially on a mission to study ancient climate patterns through soil samples, made an unexpected find. They had journeyed into the wilderness not in search of legends, but to understand the environmental history of the Mongolian plains. As they meticulously analyzed sediment layers near Burkhan-Kulen, they stumbled upon anomalies, strange readings, unusual formations, and fragments that defied. This accidental detour turned into one of the most significant archaeological developments in modern history. Among the findings were inscriptions bearing strong resemblance to ancient Mongol script, markings that hadn't been seen in this region before and which directly pointed to the presence of a royal burial. This discovery was not vague or theoretical. It was concrete, supported by scientific data and historical corroboration. And suddenly, what had always been whispered in myths was now shouted through evidence. The implications of this revelation are profound. As news spread globally, scholars, scientists, and history enthusiasts held their breath, waiting to learn more. What lay inside the tomb? Could it truly be the final resting place of Genghis? And if so, what relics, remains, or secrets would be uncovered? Yet excitement quickly gave way to deeper, more complex emotions. The Mongolian government became immediately involved, recognizing that this was not just an academic discovery. It was a national issue. The excavation of a site believed to hold the bones of their greatest leader was not to be taken lightly. Media outlets from around the world swarmed to the story, generating international fascination and local tension. Ethical questions surfaced. Should the tomb be opened at all? Who has the right to explore or even touch what lies within? What if opening the tomb unleashes cultural or even spiritual consequences the world is not prepared for? As the excavation team moved forward with care, they were joined by a host of other experts. Historians combed through ancient chronicles to find new context. Anthropologists offered cultural guidance, and scientists continued their analysis with even greater precision. This multidisciplinary approach added depth to the findings, painting a picture of a site not merely of death, but of immense historical and symbolic value. Every detail mattered: the architecture of the chamber, the materials used in construction, the arrangement of artifacts. All of it whispered secrets from the past. Yet an eerie stillness permeated the air. There was no grand celebration, no unrestrained thrill, just a quiet, reverent energy. It was as though the team knew they were not merely uncovering bones and dust, but unlocking a story sealed by time and protected by centuries of cultural guardianship. This wasn't just about finding a tomb. It was about confronting the truth behind a man who changed the world with violence and vision. Genghis built the largest contiguous empire in history, uniting warring tribes and reshaping civilizations through ruthless force and unmatched strategy. His methods were brutal yet effective. For some, he was a monster. For others, a genius. What this tomb may reveal could alter the lens through which we see him forever. The artifacts recovered, rumored to include weapons, ceremonial objects, ancient scrolls, and even evidence of early biological warfare, might confirm or challenge long-held beliefs. They may reveal his thoughts on death, the afterlife, leadership, or fear. They may tell us more about the empire he built, the people who followed him, and the enemies who feared him. For Mongolia, this moment is both a celebration and a challenge. On one hand, it provides a chance to proudly display the depth of their cultural heritage on the world stage. On the other, it forces them to navigate the tension between tradition and modernity. How do they honor their ancestor while allowing the world to study his legacy? How do they protect the sanctity of the tomb while feeding a global hunger for knowledge? For the rest of the world, the discovery is equally complicated. It requires us to reevaluate how history is told and who gets to tell it. It reminds us that the past is not a fixed story, but a living mystery, one that shifts and deepens with every new piece of evidence. This extraordinary find pierces through the fog of mythology and invites us into a more nuanced, raw, and perhaps uncomfortable conversation about power, mortality, and remembrance. It unearths truths that are exhilarating in their clarity and unsettling in their implications. And in doing so, it proves once again that history is never truly buried. Just when the world was ready to accept that the tomb of Genghis would remain forever lost, this team of researchers, armed not with swords and fire, but with scanners and shovels, broke through the silence of centuries. They have shown us that the past still has secrets, and those secrets still have power. What lies within the ancient stone walls of the tomb may well change how we view one of the most controversial figures in human history. And as the dust settles and scholars begin to decode the legacy left behind, one thing is clear. This discovery doesn't just add a chapter to our history books, it rewrites them. The closer archaeologists and researchers get to fully unveiling the secrets of the tomb, the more questions begin to emerge, questions that reach far beyond the man known as Genghis. For instance, one of his descendants, many of whom played pivotal roles in shaping the world after his death. The Mongol Empire did not collapse with Genghis. It expanded under his sons and grandsons, reaching into Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. If this tomb does indeed contain his remains, could it also contain genealogical information, DNA that might help trace the true extent of his lineage? Scientists have long speculated that Genghis's genetic legacy is so vast that millions of people across Eurasia today may carry traces of his DNA. For years, this theory was built on circumstantial evidence and patterns of Y chromosome inheritance. But with remains now potentially in their possession, scientists may finally have the opportunity to test those theories, compare genetic markers, and potentially confirm or debunk what has long been an astonishing claim. Yet this opens another ethical dilemma. Should we test the remains of someone so revered, even if it advances science? In this case, science and cultural values are not merely intersecting, they're colliding. Moreover, the layout of the tomb itself poses deep symbolic questions. Preliminary reports suggest the burial chamber is surprisingly minimalistic in its design, yet marked by an almost obsessive symmetry. Some have interpreted this as a sign of spiritual intentionality, a sacred geometry meant to align with celestial bodies or the Mongolian cosmological beliefs about the afterlife. It's believed by some scholars that the Mongols held a shamanic worldview, where death was a transformation, not an end, and that Genghis Khan, having conquered the known world, would continue his journey beyond it. If that's true, the tomb may function as more than a resting place. It could be a carefully designed passage into the eternal, a portal for a soul that was never meant to be confined by earth. What's more, researchers have reportedly uncovered a series of intricate carvings in the deepest chamber, glyphs and symbols that don't match anything previously found in Mongol-era artifacts. Could these be part of a lost written tradition? Or do they point to influences beyond the Mongol world, perhaps from the civilizations they conquered or traded with? The scope of the discovery continues to expand with every layer peeled back. Pottery shards bearing Persian and Chinese motifs suggest trade or tribute from the farthest corners of his empire. Weaponry found near the body appears to have been custom forged, with designs that may hint at symbolic meaning or elite craftsmanship reserved only for the great Khan himself. There are even whispers of golden scrolls, thin metallic sheets etched with a lost script that might have documented Khan's final will, military strategies, or philosophical beliefs. If authenticated, such texts could rival the Dead Sea Scrolls in historical value and rewrite large swaths of Eurasian history. And then there are the objects that defy classification entirely.